Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day, thanks in a large part to our pals at the VFS School of Game Design. Thank you so much, Vancouver Film School. Now, this rundown is dedicated to Madtown Vox, who is actually the voice of Spider-Man for the Sphero Spider-Man that I just reviewed. He caught the review and commented below. Very nice to hear from him. This rundown is all yours. With the amount of cool projects that Disney has in the works, maybe Kingdom isn't enough, and it's time to start calling them the Magic Empire. Disney held their biannual D23 Expo over the weekend, and the slate of new projects showcased from the Marvel, Star Wars live action and animation divisions was enormous. One of the biggest reveals during the very busy weekend was an attendee-only taste of the Avengers Infinity War, which apparently got the entire audience up on their feet in uproarious applause. Plug your ears if you don't want to hear anything about it. The footage showed a Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy mashup, Doctor Strange going toe-to-toe with Thanos, Captain America in a full beard, and a very beat-up Spider-Man. We expect a full Infinity War trailer to drop this week thanks to the incoming awesome of the San Diego Comic-Con. Over to a galaxy far, far away, all systems are go for releasing Star Wars The Last Jedi this December, and to cue up the good vibes and some tears, Disney and Lucasfilm showcased a truly stunning behind-the-scenes video, complete with blood-colored explosions, lightsaber fight rehearsals, some on-set laughs, and some shots of the late Carrie Fisher. Beautifully shot and edited, this behind-the-scenes teaser really works overtime to remind us that Rian Johnson has created something very unique with the sequel to The Force Awakens. 5 months to go, people. Disney also showed off a brand new fantasy movie called A Wrinkle in Time based on the 1963 novel written by Madeleine L'Engle. The movie is helmed by Selma director Ava DuVernay and stars Oprah Winfrey, Storm Reed, Mindy Kaling, Reese Witherspoon, and Chris Pine. There are several sequels in the books, so this could be the start of a new time-bending, planet-hopping cinematic series for Disney. There were huge announcements for the live-action adaptations of some beloved Disney animated movies like Aladdin, which is being directed by Guy Ritchie and stars Will Smith as the genie. Egyptian-Canadian actor Mina Massoud has been tapped to play Aladdin, and Naomi Scott, fresh from her solid work in the recent Power Rangers movie, will be playing Princess Jasmine. A live-action Dumbo is already in production, and D23 attendees discovered that Tim Burton is going to be directing the feature. Eva Green, Michael Keaton, and Colin Farrell all star in the movie about an elephant with crazy big ears that learns to fly. Oh, sorry, spoilers. Meanwhile, back in the African jungle, Jon Favreau is hard at work building a cast of believable digital animal characters for the live-action version of The Lion King. A piece of the opening Circle of Life sequence was screened for D23 attendees, and people lost their minds over the shot-for-shot live-action recreation of the classic animated film. It looks like Favreau is set to achieve the same kind of success he had converting a cartoon source to photoreal visuals with The Jungle Book. Speaking of jungles, The Rock, easily the busiest actor in Hollywood, is climbing aboard a movie version of the classic Disney theme park ride, Jungle Cruise. That sets sail in 2018 after The Rock finishes his work on Jumanji, Skyscraper, and the movie based on the video game Rampage, to name just a few of the flicks he's attached to. We'll keep you posted on the Jungle Cruise release date.
Don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry, it's gonna be okay.
Of course, it wasn't just live action shown off at D23. Disney was started with animation, and there are a lot of animated movies on the way. Coco is up on deck first from Pixar, and the movie looks beautiful with tremendous Day of the Dead themed imagery. That hits theaters November 22nd, and along with the full feature, Disney is also throwing in a new animated short film based around their juggernaut, Frozen. Olaf's Frozen Adventure will feature some new songs for my kid to learn and sing out loud at local parks to the delight of parents everywhere. Next year, we're finally getting a sequel to The Incredibles with original creator Brad Bird returning to direct. Animation tests were shown off at D23 to showcase that the new movie will allow its characters to be much more expressive than in the beloved original. I'm dying to catch up with the Parr family and to see all of Jack Jack's superpowers. The Incredibles 2 picks up immediately following the events of the first film with the super family fighting Underminer, and it hits theaters on June 15th, 2018. Disney and Pixar also used D23 to talk a little bit about Toy Story 4, which recently switched release dates with The Incredibles 2 and will now be out in 2019 and will not be directed by John Lasseter as originally expected. A new Untitled Pixar movie set in a suburban fantasy world about two elves that go on a quest to find their lost father was also teased by writer-director Dan Scanlon. But perhaps the animated Disney movie that will do the most to break the internet is Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. The movie promises a ton of self-aware computer and video game related in-jokes and a lot of really cool cameos. Ralph 2 hits theaters in November 2018.
Hey, one game at a time, Ralph.
All right, that's enough Disney news for a minute. How about a blast from the past? Take a look at the teaser for the Atari box, a new console from a classic name in video games. We don't know much. Atari is playing its cards close to the vest for the time being, but we do know the machine will come in black and red or a black and faux wood paneling variant. It has an HDMI out, room for an SD card for storage, as well as 4 USB inputs, presumably for controllers. Atari is promising a mix of classic and current game content for the Atari box, so that seems to suggest some kind of hybrid between the NES Classic Edition with classic Atari 2600 and maybe 7800 games, fused with an Android console like the Ouya. But who knows? Maybe there will be some old Jaguar and Lynx games on there, or some classic Atari computer games. Maybe the nostalgic gaming resurgence for the HD era will help make the Atari box a hit. After all, we do see the Atari logo in Blade Runner 2049. Maybe the company's just getting started. And speaking of Blade Runner, the second official trailer just hit for the sequel, and it's a mix of the familiar and the sublime. Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford lead an all-star cast in Denis Villeneuve's revisit to a cinematic universe first crafted by Ridley Scott. The enormous glowing animated billboards, the tough-as-nails replicants, and the flying cars return in a Los Angeles that looks even worse off than it did in the original. Robin Wright, Jared Leto, and David Bautista are just some of the famous faces that pop up in the trailer, which looks a little more action-packed for modern audiences, but not one bit less stylish than the vision for the first film. Blade Runner 2049 begins chasing audiences on October 6th. And finally, we just want to pay our respects to two legends of cinema that left us over the weekend. Martin Landau, an incredible actor who appeared in many wonderful films and TV shows over a 60-year career, passed away at age 89. He left us with a superb body of work including Space 1999, North by Northwest, Crimes and Misdemeanors, and perhaps most famously, Tim Burton's outstanding Ed Wood, for which Landau won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role as another screen legend, Bela Lugosi. George A. Romero, the king of the undead and a master of horror cinema with a filmography dating back to 1968's Night of the Living Dead, has also passed away at the age of 77. Romero is often credited with being the father of the modern pop culture interpretation of zombies. In addition to directing the Dead series of films, he also helped to make the Creepshow movies, and in 2010 wrote the highly regarded The Crazies. Both men left an indelible mark on filmed entertainment, and we want to extend our condolences to their respective friends and families. That wraps us up for the rundown today. If you want to learn more about game design, visit VFS.edu. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new one for you. And in the meantime, click around, watch some of the other content we made for you, and if you dig it, hit subscribe.